Now the graphs of linear lines can be represented by linear equations in various forms, and one of those forms is known as slope-intercept form. Now what slope-intercept form looks like is when we've got our equation in the form of y equals a value that we call m that multiplies with our x value, and then we add our c value, which is just a number that we call c. Now the values of m and c have very specific properties to our equation on our linear graph. Now this m value is actually our slope, which we call our gradient. And our c value represents the y-intercept, or where it cuts this y-axis. Now if we've got the equation of a linear line given to us in slope-intercept form like this, we can quickly identify the properties of the slope and the y-intercept of this line and use these properties to quickly graph this equation. So let's take an example. Let's say I had y is equal to a half x and plus 2. So what we can start off by doing is to quickly identify what our slope and our y-intercept are. And our slope is the coefficient of this x value. Wherever the x is, whether it's the first one or the second one, it's the coefficient of our x. So here, our m value is this half. So our slope is equal to 1/2. Now y-intercept is the constant term of this equation here. So the constant term here is this positive 2. So our y-intercept is equal to 2. Now to graph this, what we instantly know about this graph is it's going to cut this y-axis here at the value of 2. So it's going to cut this y-axis at this point right here. So what we've now got is one coordinate that exists on our linear line. Now if we can find at least one more coordinate, we can graph the entire linear line. And to find some of these other coordinates, we can use the properties of this slope here. Now this slope can be thought of as the rise over the run, where our 1 is the rise and our 2 is the run. And now what this slope tells us about our graph is that for every 2 values that it moves to the right, it's going to move up by 1 value. So for every 2 values that it moves to the right, it's going to then move up 1 value. So the next coordinate that exists is right here. And what we can do at this point is we can get a ruler out and we can graph or draw in our line for our equation. And whenever you're graphing like this, it's really important that we always include our equation of our line next to it. So our equation here is y equals a half x plus 2. So when graphing with linear equations in slope-intercept form, we can quickly identify 2 properties of our linear line that we've got here, and that is the slope and the y-intercept. And we can use the y-intercept to initially locate one of the coordinates that exist on our straight line. Then we can use the properties of our slope to find another coordinate that we can use to rule our linear line.